Well, thanks to all of you for joining us here tonight. It really is a special day overall. Earlier today, we did the ribbon cutting for the formal launch of our Innovation Hub here in San Francisco. And it's really a big deal, and it means a lot to us, and I think it means a lot to the community and to the clients that we have here in the area. As John said, it brings together Accenture Research, which is our thought leadership, Accenture Ventures, which is our venture capital arm, venture capital capability, Accenture Labs, which is our R&D team and our inventors, Accenture Studios, which is where we co-create with clients, and all of our industry expertise, as John said. We have 2,000 people in the NorCal area here that are coming together. And if you look at how we bring the best of Accenture together, then with the ecosystem that we have around us here in San Francisco and the Bay Area, it creates a really powerful innovation hub. And that we chose that name intentionally. And it's one of now 11 innovation hubs that we have around North America, connected to 100 other facilities around the world. So it gives us a really powerful capability. And one thing that San Francisco is known for, what do you have a couple of here in San Francisco? Bridges. Right? Yeah, bridges, Golden Gate Bridge. So the way I think about this is it's a bridge. So the Innovation Hub here is a bridge for us to take the best innovation from the area here everywhere on the planet. And it's a way for us also to bring the best innovation from everywhere on the world right to our clients' doorsteps right here in Northern California. And that's really the purpose of the hub. And we invest a lot in this innovation because it's important to what we do. Our mission, as we see it, is to bring innovation that transforms the way the world works and lives. And we invest $800 million each year in research and development, $800 million a year in research and development. And that yields things like 6,500 patents, the most patents in our sector, in that case, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, et cetera. And what's important about this location is 1,400 of those patents come from our team right here, which shows you the innovation capability and talent that we have. So that's why we're very excited about this new facility that we've launched here. And the other thing we have here is our team that develops the vision, and I'll recognize them a little bit later. You'll hear a lot from Michael Biltz, the father of the technology vision, and we'll talk a lot more about that. And one thing I want to do as we get into the vision, though, is I do want to take a minute and dedicate the vision to Pierre Nanterme, who's was Accenture's CEO. I don't know if all of you know the story, but Pierre had a long battle with cancer and passed away 6 days ago, way too young at the age of 59. And Pierre was a true visionary in the industry. He led the transformation of Accenture to be a digital company, an innovation company that transformed the whole industry. The results over his time as CEO were amazing. He took Accenture to $40 billion of revenue, a 55% increase, tripled the market cap, doubled our talent base to 480,000 people, over 300% return to shareholders. And I think the thing that Pierre would be most proud of is that he had an incredible commitment to equality and diversity. And a few months ago, one of the leading index for diversity is the Thomson Reuters Inclusion Index. And a few months ago, Accenture was named the #1 company on the planet for inclusion and diversity, all because of the leadership of Pierre to transform our organization takes in that direction. So this year, we're dedicating the vision to Pierre. Every year, I've written the forward of the vision with Pierre. Couldn't do that this year, but his name and my name were always at the bottom of the vision. We spent countless hours talking about the vision. He was an amazing leader, an amazing boss, mentor, colleague, and friend. So we're dedicating the vision in memory of Pierre and all he did to make Accenture greater than, which is how, this is the crazy way all us Accenture people say it. He made Accenture greater than, he made the world greater than, and peace, Pierre. This is in memory of you. So thank you. So the vision. So we do the technology vision every year. We've done this for 19 years. I was saying earlier, there's thousands of hours of work we do on this, countless debates. We get a lot of external input. We have an advisory board, external advisory board. We put a lot of effort into this. We really try to present a different view on technology and where technology is going. I track hundreds of trend forecasts. You see them all as well, where you see these lists of the top 10 technologies you should pay attention to. And it says, machine learning and data and cloud computing and IoT. And we don't really think that serves much of a purpose. It's interesting, but it doesn't help you guide your business. So we try to take a different approach. And that's the way we put the vision together. So I'm going to try to summarize all this to you in about 20 minutes. Thousands of hours of work by a large team that's worked all year to do this, and give you a sense of what we believe the future holds for us as we think about the future of technology, and as all of you think about the future of technology. But as I lead into it, I'd ask you to think about two questions. One question that's increasingly in play is the question: is technology good or bad? Think about that. We used to think about it as all good, but is technology good or bad? Think about that, and think about what's your role in influencing whether it's good or bad. So keep that in mind, and then let's look at a couple things here as context for the vision. So there's a lot of things that are kind of scary about technology now, and that are leading a lot of people to conclude technology's bad. There's a techlash going on. 3 billion identities, tell you if you go across the slide here, 3 billion identities were stolen in 2018. There's only 4 billion people on the internet digitally. 3 billion identities stolen in 2018. A lot of questions about geopolitical nature of the technology. Are we in a national war? Should we consider trade protections and barriers around a lot of the technology? A majority of people in the world don't believe they have any source of truth anymore. Fake news and other things happening. A lot of discussion around inequality, jobs, where are the jobs going, where's the wealth going, that people are increasingly concerned about because of impacts of AI, robotics, and automation. A lot of discussions about what should we do with technology. We have amazing facial recognition technology. Should we sell it to anybody? If it's sold to anybody, how are they going to use it? And do we need to think differently about it? Privacy and data. What's the meaning and value of our data? Who has control of our data? What control of your identity do you have? There's an interesting one bottom left there. You might have seen this. Interesting experiment, interesting real situation in China where a researcher modified an embryo genetically using CRISPR of a real human being, which is creating a lot of controversy. You have this real techlash thing happening, not just in the U.S., but in China. Tencent, one of the leading internet platforms and gaming platforms in China, was banned from a number of its games for a while because the society and government felt that it was having a detrimental impact on society. And even companies that are highly trusted and that really put trust as a premium, and I put Apple in that category, have had issues recently, such as the FaceTime bug that happened in the last couple of weeks. So all these concerns are entering people's minds on technology. But if you look at it, look at the other side of what's happening with technology. Amazing things are happening. This is one that blew my mind when Elon Musk started landing rockets vertically. Did that blow anybody else's mind? Amazing things with technology, which is the impact of that is dramatically reducing the cost of transportation into space. Amazing medical advances, helping senior citizens and disabled get exercise in different ways. Connecting the brain to muscle for people with severe muscular and neural disabilities to regain control of their body. Agricultural technology that's dramatically improving the yield of food and eliminating the waste that happens in the food supply chain. In the top left, you see identity solutions, a solution we're working on at Accenture that's providing digital identity to the refugees in the world who don't have any identity and ability to access state services. And it could go on, but there's tremendous positive and tremendous good we're having with technology. And you can see that in this stats in the middle. This is a post that Bill Gates did about around the new year. And it was his Facebook. It was equivalent of a 10-year challenge. He said, this is the world's 10-year Facebook challenge. And this is what you can see: life expectancy dramatically better, child mortality dramatically better, et cetera. So the world is getting better, a lot of it through the impact of these technologies. And that's the landscape where our technology vision is coming into this, and why I asked you to think about what's your role in whether technology is good or bad. Because the reality is it can be either. And it's up to you and the roles you play to decide how the technology is applied. And that's the roadmap that we're hoping to give you with the technology vision and what we're going to talk through right now. So if we go into the technology vision, before I get there, let me just summarize some of the things we've looked at in prior years. 2013, 6 years ago, we had a vision titled "Every Business is a Digital Business." And that was a big vision and an important one for us, which really called out the start of this era where every business was becoming digital. At the time when we said that, people thought we were crazy. We went and did a presentation like this, and people kind of nodded their heads. Then when we went into CEOs' offices in the C-suite, they said, "No, I'm a utility. Digital's got nothing to do with me. I'm a transportation company. Digital's got nothing to do with what I do." And it took a while. It took about a year to 18 months before people started realizing that everybody was going digital. And so we started this digital journey, and the first three visions were talking about how digital was impacting large organizations. And then we moved in 2016 to looking at the role of people in the equation. And we had a series of visions that talked about how the people were really important and really were playing an instrumental role in this redefinition of companies, and the way that the technology was impacting people was a real focus for us. So where does that leave us now for 2019? So I've talked so far. I haven't told you about the vision yet. So you're letting me go for a little while here. So the vision this year, the key word I'd ask you to remember, and in the title of the vision this year that I'll show you in a minute, you're going to see the phrase post-digital. And just like when we said every business is a digital business, I think some people will challenge us on this idea of a post-digital era. But we strongly believe that we are entering a post-digital era. And that as you think about planning for the future, you need to think about what your business looks like, what your organization looks like, what your strategy looks like when you enter a post-digital era. But let me define what we mean by post-digital a little bit first. If you think about where we are right now, last year, 2018, companies spent $1.1 trillion on digital transformation. $1.1 trillion. 94% of organizations say that they're doing digital transformation. 68% of those organizations say that they're pretty good. They're pretty set and with their path and comfortable with where they're going with digital transformation. I find that surprising, but that's the report nonetheless. In an environment where everybody says they're doing digital and we are trending toward a place where everybody's doing digital, what's next? How do you differentiate? In the digital world, or in the post-digital world, what's happening is the basics of digital are table stakes, and there's a new set of rules that are defining what you need to do to be successful with post-digital. And the rules at a high level that we'll talk about here are things like individualization. Individualization is going to be incredibly important to companies as you think about how you provide your services. Not personalization, which means you can just get it close to right. True individualization to an individual, exactly what you want, matching your needs at a point in time. Instant on demand, getting the service exactly when you need it. Isn't a new concept, but delivering it really in the moment to customers is, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. This idea of momentary markets, we'll explore a little bit more. What we're seeing is with technology and with new post-digital consumers, markets form, customer needs form very quickly and then slam closed again very quickly. If as an organization you can't serve their needs exactly when they need them, you lost the opportunity. And that's another thing we're going to talk a little bit about. Think about one example here, John Hancock. You think of John Hancock. Anybody hear from John Hancock before I talk about them? No, I know you're not. So John, I'd say the same thing even if they were. John Hancock, traditional insurance company. They historically measured their success by how few times they talk to customers. They loved it if they didn't talk to customers at all in a given year. In the digital world and now the post-digital world, they have to think differently. So they've got a new set of policies called the Vitality policies. Individualized dynamic policies. They change based on who you are, based on what you do at any moment. Policy parameters continuously changing, giving you a better value proposition, giving you feedback on how to be healthier and live your life more effectively, continually changing, continuous new information. And instead of having 2 to 3 touch points with their customer every year, they now have 400 or 500, continuously getting more information, more value, better relationship with their customers, taking their business into a new area here. And then if you think about a business like that, what's important now is if you think about the is tech bad or good question, what customers are concerned about is how are you using my data? If I'm now instrumented to my John Hancock policy, is that good or bad? Am I comfortable with that? What's going to be essential is you're going to need to be able to demonstrate trust and gain the trust of customers to deliver services that are better than your competitors' services. And trust and responsibility aren't a nice to have. It's not just a buzzword. It's not just about CSR and corporate responsibility. It's essential competitive differentiation as you move into the post-digital era. We're going to talk more about that too. So those are some of the characteristics. And then there's 5 trends that we'll talk about real quickly. So the first trend is called dark power. And this is talking about the technologies. I'll tell you more about this in a minute. You'll notice dark is misspelled. It's for a reason. I'll tell you why. Dark power talks about the technologies of post-digital. Get to know me talks about how you need to reach the consumer in the new post-digital world. Human plus worker is talking about your employees, your workforce in the post-digital world. Secure us to secure me is talking about the new way that you need to protect yourself and protect your environments. And then finally, My Markets is talking about new business models and a new way to think about the way you need to construct your business in the new world. So those are the 5 trends, and I'm going to walk through them very quickly, and then we're going to get to a little Q&A to try to bring these to life a little bit more with Michael Biltz. So first, dark power. It says understanding the DNA of dark. What does that mean? So what we're talking about with dark is the D is distributed ledger technology, the A is artificial intelligence, the R is extended reality, and the Q is quantum computing. And we believe that these 4 technologies are really important to think about. And by the way, they're all represented on the 34th floor that you were asked to visit earlier. Another plug for the 34th floor. So the 4 very important technologies that are instrumental for you to think about as you move forward in your strategy. Some of these aren't new. A lot of you have been working on artificial intelligence already, but we'll put that in context for you. But then the thing that we believe is happening is digital was defined by SMAC, Social Mobile Analytics Cloud. If you think back, we use that acronym a lot at the start of the digital era, Social Mobile Analytics Cloud. And we believe we're now moving into a dark world where these technologies are going to shape a lot of your differentiation. And if you watch closely, there you go, they're reordered. It almost forms a stack in the way you need to think about some of your new capabilities. At the bottom, quantum computing, providing really unimaginable new level of compute capacity or of problem-solving capacity in a very different way than silicon and transistors did. And companies solving real problems today using quantum computing, like Airbus doing flight path optimization using quantum computing, and work we've announced with Biogen on drug discovery processes using quantum computing, solving problems you couldn't solve before. New compute infrastructure. And quantum is only one of a number of technologies, neuromorphic computing, biocomputing, and more that are increasingly going to be important to you in thinking about how do you solve big problems that your business faces. And so think of that as the infrastructure. Think of distributed ledgers as a new opportunity to solve certain transactional problems differently than you can today. And distributed ledger technology is going to be essential, not for every problem, but for the right problems that it's fit for. For example, we're doing work with DHL on pharmacovigilance in their transportation process and supply chain. How can DHL play a role and make money by assuring their customers that the drug they received is not a counterfeit drug and is the right drug that they were intended to receive? Very complicated problem spanning many elements of a supply chain that something like distributed ledger architecture is equipped to handle from a transaction and data perspective. Then artificial intelligence is like your new application layer. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, if not already, is making its way into every one of your applications. You won't be able to buy a packaged application that doesn't have ML and AI built in, and that becomes the new table stakes for the application layer. And then extended reality, which includes augmented reality, mixed reality, and other forms of alternative user experiences, is going to be the way we experience this new world. So this is going to be increasingly important to you as you think about how you architect your solutions in the future. It's not just a SMAC world, it's a SMAC plus dark world. You can play all sorts of analogies with dark. We're moving into the dark ages and all sorts of things. So you can have a little fun with it too. So that's the first trend, and that's talking about the technologies. Now, the second trend is this get to know me, which is about the consumer and what's happening with the consumer. And we're going to get more into this through the panel discussion too, when Mike and I talk. But the get to know me is talking about how do you really reach that individual consumer. and how do you get them the right service that's going to add value to them. Think about that John Hancock example. We have tremendous information on consumers, more and more information available that we can use to shape experiences. And we as consumers are giving away more of that information or making that information available. I see some of you on your mobiles right now. In 60 seconds, so in the last 60 seconds, 1.1 million people have swiped on Tinder. 1.1, I'm not accusing anybody in the room. I see some of you on your mobiles. 1.1 million people swiped on Tinder. 3.7 million people did a Google search the last 60 seconds. 260,000 hours of Netflix were watched the last 60 seconds. 39 million WhatsApp messages were sent in the last 60 seconds. 168 million emails were sent in the last 60 seconds. Every one of those is conveying some level of information about you as an individual and allowing businesses to offer different types of services to you, in addition to many other things that are happening. And Get to Know Me is talking about how do you use that information, again, in a trusted and responsible way to develop the new services for your consumer, again, in this post-digital way. John Hancock is a good example. Another example is SlicePay, which is an Indian financial services company that's serving unbanked consumers. So how do you decide how do you establish a credit score for an unbanked customer? They're using all sorts of information, pictures that they may have posted, messages that person sent, and all sorts of other factors to create a financial profile of somebody who doesn't have a financial profile, and then individualize a service for them. And that's the power of this type of technology. The third trend then is human plus worker. And this is talking about what happens to the workforce and what happens to people. The reality is, from the research we've done, 90% of jobs, more than 90% of jobs will change because of artificial intelligence, robotics, and all the things that are happening. Over half the jobs will change dramatically. And the roles are changing fast. It's happening fast. It's happening now. It's going to speed up, and your jobs are going to change even faster. So in that environment where things are happening so fast, what this trend is talking about is an organization better have a capability to move your own workers ahead faster, because the roles are changing so fast, you won't be able to hire a workforce with the skills you need. It's all about how you develop your own workforce faster. How do you invest in the right talent, in the right people to move your workforce ahead faster? Really quick example of this is that I think highlights it is work we did for an oil company with their drilling technicians. So we developed a new digital way for the oil extraction process. So an oil field services technician used to be all hands-on, pumps and operating machinery. Now, with the new way of doing it, digitally enabled, AI and other technologies, they're using a gaming engine with visualization coming from sensors under the ground. So it's like playing a game in real time, where you see an image of the drill color-coded by heat, torque, fluid density, tensile resistance by what you're drilling into. So they're getting better utilization and less downtime for breakages and things because the technician is digitally enabled. So if you're going to go to the market and try to hire a gaming engine fluent, AI visualization literate, oil field services technician with the physical skills to understand the drilling process, are you going to find him in the market? The answer is you're not. So if you're not, and we're seeing that in every job that we look at, those kind of different characteristics that mean you need to be preparing your people for the new jobs of the future. The fourth trend is called Secure Us to Secure Me, and this is talking about a new view on security and how do you secure your enterprise. And the real key message here is it's about the ecosystem, not about you. You can't secure yourself if you're just looking at yourself. This is about how you create the right relationships across your industry, across your partners, across your upstream and downstream suppliers to make sure you're really secure. An interesting example here is what Siemens is doing, certifying their suppliers across a broad variety of their business for security so they can assure that everything they put together in their business meets the security needs that they have. And that's the kind of ecosystem approach that companies need to address. And then finally, My Markets, and we'll get into this more in a minute, but My Markets is talking about this momentary markets idea, the individualized markets, and the nature of how you exploit these with your customers. A real quick example that I think highlights this is work that we've done, that Accenture's done with Carnival Cruise Lines with their Ocean Medallion program. And with that program, what they can do, they have a medallion, a kind of a wristband that can track your location on the ship, and they know your personal preferences because you've told the cruise line what they were, so you can optimize your experience. So what they're doing then with analytics and sensors and video cameras all around the ship and their attractions, they're able to do things like anticipate that there's going to be availability at a special experience, a special character that your child wanted to see in a half hour, and then send you a message saying, hey, we've reserved a special slot for you to make sure you get the experience you want. It's a momentary market. It opens, it closes. You can't offer to the consumer. The attraction goes underutilized. The revenue gets lost. The individual is less satisfied. And that's the power of the individual mind markets. So that's the summary. We just talked about a lot of stuff. So the post-digital era is upon us. Love to get your feedback on, does that make sense? You follow what we're talking about there. And then the 5 trends are what we believe are the things you need to start thinking about from a business perspective to prepare you for that world.